Oh, we're having such a good time settling into this month of joy, aren't we? Digging into this idea of boundless joy. And my talk today is titled The Joy of Divine Identity. And it can be a little challenging to enter into this idea of I am God in action when people are actively, probably even at this moment, somewhere debating what the nature of God is and what that means and what this energy of the divine expects of us. It can get very confusing, right? It can look like this.
What is this?
This is the church where someone named God lives.
Who's God?
It's a bit confusing. God is a shepherd.
So he could be our shepherd?
No, because he's also a lamb.
What?
And he's also invisible. And he's made of bread. And he dams things.
Dams things? Like a beaver?
Yes.
So God is a big invisible lamb beaver made of bread?
Yes. And they eat him on Sundays.
Poor God.
Poor God. So there really isn't any wonder that we can have a difficult time connecting with this idea as I am the divine in action, because last I checked, I was not an invisible beaver lamb made of bread that people eat on Sundays. Ugh. But what we do know is that connecting with the metaphysical nature of the divine is an opening, a pathway for joy. So last week, we talked about mindset changes that can help us access our joy more fully, right? And this is kind of one more mindset shift that we can step into. It's like when there's the book of like the 5 ways to blank, and then about 3 years later, they come up with a book, The 6th Way. So this is another mindset shift, really digging into the divine is me, I am the divine, and settling into that. And I have 3 ways of thinking about the divine that can help us do that so that we can access that pathway of joy. So the first one, if you've been here more than approximately 30 seconds, not quite yet, friend, with the slide, the first one is the idea that the divine or God, or the universe, or sweet spirit, or whatever name you personally prefer. I'm going to use the divine a lot in this talk because it's what my title is. The divine is one life. We sometimes call it the one infinite reality. So that way of thinking helps me get out of my mindset that God is a person, usually a guy, usually an older guy with a very magnificent white beard, sitting on a throne or standing on a cloud seem to be our 2 options in art, with a long list of rules and expectations and definitely checking up on me to make sure I'm doing these things and not doing those things, right? When I think of it as it's just the one infinite reality, it's easier for me to step into that what we call the divine is simply the way the universe works, that this world was built with certain energetic rules. Not that we get punished for breaking, but that we experience the consequences of following or choosing not to follow. And it works the same for me as it works for Tom, as it works for my dog, as it works for an apple. Just like gravity. In fact, one would say gravity is a part of the one infinite reality. And so opening up to being a part of that feels easy, right? Because we do, in fact, exist, depending on which philosophy you're studying. The ones we're talking about today, we do, in fact, exist. And if the one infinite reality is just what is, well then, we must be a part of it. There isn't any other option other than to cease to exist, and most of us are not signed up for that this particular week. And when we think of it that way, it reminds us that we are not separate individual pillars of existence all by ourselves, desperately trying to reach this divinity that is somewhere out there, separate from us, and we must strive to go get it. There's no going because it's everywhere. I mean, you can strive and go over there to get God, but you could just as easily get it right here or over there or in your meditation practice or while you're playing hula hoop. It is the hula hoop. It is the motion of the hula hooping. How many times can I say hula hoop? So for my philosophers in the group, for the people who really love philosophy, science of mind, which is the teaching we lean into here, is a panentheistic philosophy. So pantheism is God is everything. Just the end. Beautiful teaching. Polytheism is there are lots and lots and lots of gods, and the gods are everything. Beautiful teaching. Lots of great religions feed off that. Panentheism is a titch different. It says the highest God, the most transcendent God you can possibly imagine, bigger than anything you could possibly conceive of, and the innermost God, the most immanent God, the one that we reach on the inside of ourselves, is one God, one divinity. It's all the same thing. So breathe into that. The transcendence and the immanence and the oneness, it's all just one life of which we are a part. So here's a thing I've noticed. Joy really begins, it really starts to blossom and open as we let go of the struggle of spiritual isolation, of being the only one practicing by myself, not connecting with anybody else, and certainly not energetically understanding that we're all connected, right? That can feel scary and isolating. I know a lot of people who are struggling with various forms of addiction and mental illness often feel like it's just me. Nobody else understands what I'm going through. Nobody could help me. Nobody could stand with me. It's that fatal individualism that keeps us from even being able to touch that place of joy that is the truth of our own nature. See, if there's only one life and joy exists, it's built into us. It's part of who we are, even in the moments when we can't connect to it. Just like when the sun, in its total eclipse, goes behind the moon and you cannot see it at all, does it cease to exist? I don't think any of us are worried when the sun's completely hidden by cloud cover that it's never coming back. And joy is the same way. There are times when it is hard to connect to it. But when we keep centering back into this idea that there's just the one life, and all of the good stuff are in that life, and I am in that life, therefore all of that good stuff is available for me, it helps to make the ordinary moments feel sacred. It helps us to connect with those tiny little joys we talked about last week. And so for each of these ideas, I have chosen an embodied truth, an affirmation that we can carry with us. And so the embodied truth for this one is, I belong. I am never outside of the presence. So say that with me if you will. I belong. I am never outside of the presence. Because there's no outside of the presence to get to. Even if you wanted that to be your goal, there isn't one. There isn't an out there. So the second idea is the divine is creative love. The divine is creative love. So love is the self-givingness of the universe to its own creation. The ever-givingness of goodness to its own creation. And as we just figured out in the last step, we are its creation. And that givingness is forever giving to us. What's it giving? Among many, many things, the ability to create, to express, to be who we really are, to the fullest magnificence of possibility. And then we hit, life, culture, the opinions of the people around us, our families, rules we made for ourselves when we were 7 that I'm never gonna. Oh my gosh, guys, I remember sitting with my friend Jen. Oh, scary stories start with. I remember sitting with my friend Jen in our 20s and saying things like, I'm never gonna be one of those moms that just wears leggings and flat shoes. Right? I only wear flat shoes now. And we laugh. What did that mean to me at 23? I don't know. But it certainly doesn't relate to the 51-year-old me now who really loves a legging and a flat shoe. That girl hadn't experienced real foot pain yet. Creation itself, the act of creation, is inherently good. And when we think of the divine as the ultimate creator, the love creator of the universe, everything it creates must then be good, right? If the divine is only creating out of itself and it's all one life, then there must be goodness in all of it. Pretty easy to latch on to, right? Until you see the things you don't like, or the things that are scary, or the hurricane in Hawaii, or the people that are afraid, or wounded, or upset, or the people that you crash opinions with. It's not just me that crashes opinions with people sometimes, right? I think there are one or two of you out there. Thank goodness. There's only one life, so we're good. We're good. All of those things we bump into that feel scary, that are wounding, that hurt us, can change the way we show up, can change our willingness and our ability to really show up as the truth of who we are. But joy starts to expand when we see who we are, our authentic selves, and what comes naturally out of being our authentic selves as that good creation. Sit with that for a minute. That who we naturally are is a good and right creation of the divine. I spent a lot of my life trying to be quieter. Yeah, go ahead and laugh, Robert. I didn't say I succeeded. To be more appropriate. Yeah, that's funny too. That's okay, Janet. And I have friends who spent their whole childhood trying to be bigger, to show up more vivacious, more bouncy, more outgoing. I spent a lot of my life trying to not focus so much on the creative stuff, but do the real stuff that matters. And then I've only ever made money in this world doing creative work. So maybe the people that planted that seed in my brain were just wrong. We can love them and know that they were just wrong about that. And we can let those things go because joy really starts to expand and blossom when we honor who we really are naturally as the goodness of life. Ernest Holmes said it like this: back of all creativity is the pressure of our own divinity to come forth into the humanity it's created in order to enjoy the fullness of its own expression. The divine can't experience your specific brand of authentic goodness except through you showing up with it. That's why the divine creates, to get to have every experience as each one of us walking it out. It's not just accepting our unique expression. It's not just coming to terms with the fact that I will almost always be the one that they are shushing in the lobby during meditation. I've come to terms with it. It just is. but it's actually honoring it. It's recognizing that the same goofy whatever that makes me that way also gives me the courage to get up here. And over there when I sing, that enthusiastic bubbling up of whatever is a fundamental part of why I'm good at the things I'm good at. And I can't throw out the parts that I would maybe rather have a dimmer switch on without losing that piece that I value, that I think makes a difference in life, at least for some people. So here is an embodied truth to carry each one of us into our understanding of that idea. Truly being myself is for the greater good. I invite you to say it with me. Truly being myself is for the greater good. It's for the greater good. We can't have that greater good if each one of us doesn't step into that truth. And then the third approach to looking at the divine is that the divine is freedom. It is pure possibility. It's being at choice. And freedom, that being at choice, is our spiritual birthright. It's not always easy to remember we're at choice because we can go down that mental path of, but I have to. But I have to. I don't want to go to this place, but I have to. I don't want to pay my taxes, but I have to. I don't mind paying I actually kind of enjoy paying my taxes because I am super attached to things like roads and schools, right? I am happy to give my money to communal efforts to make society better. But it's easy to slide in the, but I don't want to. Because I want to, well, I think this is pretty natural. I want to keep my money for myself and have all of those things. Good thing God is possibility. There's a path forward. The biggest place in which we get to exercise our freedom, though, is through the lens through which we see life and the divine. Yes, we have freedom in our responses, but it's a bigger freedom to start before the response is triggered. Coming places like this, choosing to bit by bit rewire our understanding of the world to see the pathway for good as inevitably in front of us. I have this mental picture. Someday I'll find someone who can animate it for me of you're walking down, you're on the right road. It's a yellow brick road in my mind, so bear with me. We're walking down the road, and you're going, and you're going, and you're following the road, and then you get a great idea, and you're going to go over there, but the road's right here, right? Oh no, if I leave my path, am I inherently making a mistake? I'm going to do it anyway. And you jump over to the new path, right? And in my mind, all the bricks of the yellow brick road, and the road moves and makes the new yellow brick road right there for us, because that's the way freedom works. The whole universe is conspiring for our good. The whole of the divine is rearranging those bricks. This is the new right path for what you've chosen now. And it will lead us right to what is for our greatest good inherently as we follow it. But we have to lay down the, oh no, have I messed it up? Friends, there's no messing it up. There's no messing it up. Even if we do the thing we think is messing it up, guess what? The bricks rearrange themselves. And we're on the best path all over again. We cannot do this thing called life wrong. We can't. There isn't a wrong way. And freedom deepens when we remember that. When we let go of the temptation of victimhood and rumination and panic and overthinking, when we lay that down and set ourselves up through this lens of life is inherently good and I get to choose how I engage with it. We get to see life differently. It becomes life meeting life wherever we go. If If I'm by myself, it's this form of life meeting the infinite life. If I meet another friend along the way, it's this form of life meeting that form of life. All of us, one thing, and yet in that immanent place, individualized, as only each one of us can do it. But we have to choose it. We have to choose it. We are not confined to yesterday's story. We're not confined to 15 minutes ago's story. We can stop right in the middle of an argument, right in the middle. You're such a, you know what? No, you're good. I'm good. We're good. That is available to us. I really would have been served by knowing that in my 20s. And so we have an embodied truth for this one as well. I am empowered in my choices. And I invite you to read it with me. I am empowered in my choices. And those choices always bring us good. Sometimes it brings us good by the long road. And sometimes that good is really obvious right away. But it always brings us good. And so I bring it down to this. Remembering the truth of your unique divine identity is this beautiful opening to joy wherever you are, however you are, whoever you are. Because it opens your own awareness up to the joy that you are, that you were built to be, that you have the capacity to expand into infinitely. I have a quote from Sadhguru. Clearly, I was on a Sadhguru kick the last couple weeks. And he said this: if you allow the source of creation within you to find expression, joyful is the only way you can be. May you know the fulfillment of making all that you touch joyful. And so this is the invitation this week, to take one of these embodied truths, one of these affirmations, into your week, to carry it with you. Whichever one feels like the one that has the most promise for you. Read it at least once a day. Make it your cell phone cover picture, somewhere where you'll bump into it all the time. And see if it doesn't open up a joyful possibility. And so it is. So let's anchor this in with some prayer. How good it is to remember that there is just one life, that the divine is all that there is, and that I am literally swimming in that creation, as is everyone within the sound of my voice, and everyone everywhere through all space and time, that each one of us is that joyful creation that has already been the gift of the divine. How good it is to anchor in, to know that each one already has that beautiful freedom, already has that deep creativity, already is a part of that connected oneness. And what I claim in this moment is that whatever got brought into this space on the hearts and the minds of those who are participating, that each worry, each fear, each wound is already being met by the healing love of the divine, is already being opened up to see that inevitable joy that comes from it. That grace is pouring down over all of us like that proverbial honey, soothing every seeming wound, every apparently broken space until we can see the truth of wholeness. I'm grateful to know that the words I speak are already done, that the healing has already happened. And I call it good as we release this into the action of the law and let it be. And so it is.